Sushruta for NEET is now available on the Google Play Store. Try it out for free.
Hearty welcome to biology class. I am Prof G.K Bhat. In the last class, we were studying about the organisms and populations. We started looking into the various aspects of this, especially with regard to the abiotic and biotic factors and how that seasonal variation occurs, which resulted in the formation of different biomes. So in today's class, we shall take up major abiotic factors. In ecology, abiotic factors means the factors which are non-living. In contrast to this, we have what is called biotic factors. Among the different abiotic factors, we are giving much importance to the temperature, water, light, and soil. These abiotic factors influence very much the organisms, and the interaction of these abiotic and biotic component actually makes what exactly an ecosystem is. Biotic components include producers, consumers of different types, pathogens, parasites, predators, competitors, etc. It also includes herbivores, carnivores of different degrees. Now, we shall see how these abiotic factors influence or affect the life of the organisms. Taking up temperature, temperature is the most ecologically relevant environmental factor. You know, temperature directly influences the production by the producers. A plant to show photosynthesis, you know, light is very essential. That the light energy is trapped and converted into chemical energy by these plants. As such, temperature is the most ecologically relevant environmental factors because this temperature always influences the photosynthesis also by the plants. You are aware that during this winter season, most of the plants, they do not show the same rate of production when compared to that of the summer. You are aware that the average temperature on land varies seasonally. Not only during this winter season and summer season, the temperature varies or temperature decreases progressively from the equator towards the poles and from plains to the mountain tops. So, temperature decreases progressively from the equator towards the poles and from the plains to the mountain tops. I hope you know there are three important latitudes. Can you name which are these? What is this called? What is this called? Come on. What is this?
Equator.
Equator. And this?
Tropic of Cancer.
Tropic of Cancer.
Tropic Cancer. And this one?
Tropic of Capricorn.
Tropic of Capricorn.
You tell me, out of these three lines, is there any line passing through India?
Tropic
Yeah.
of Cancer.
Tropic of Cancer. Do we have equator south to India or north to India?
South.
South to India. So, if you see that temperature decreases progressively from equator towards the poles, which pole you come across here?
North Pole.
North pole. Here, south pole. So, temperature decreases progressively from the equator towards the poles and from plains to the top of the mountains. It ranges from sub-zero, means below 0 degree centigrade, sub-zero levels in polar areas and high altitudes to greater than 50 degrees centigrade in tropical deserts in summer. If you look into the deserts, like South Africa, you see that the temperature ranges above or goes above 50 degrees centigrade. There are, however, unique habitats such as the thermal springs, deep sea hydrothermal vents, deep sea hydrothermal vent. What are these? These are some sources of high temperature in the water deep in the sea. You may be knowing that sometimes at the varied depth of the ocean, we come across high temperature and it is due to volcanic eruption. You might have read some volcanic eruption recently in newspaper affecting the life of several thousands of people. So there are certain unique habitats such as thermal springs. We shall see that what are these thermal springs and deep sea hydrothermal vents where average temperature exceeds 100 degrees centigrade. Boiling water. It is general knowledge that mango trees do not and cannot grow in temperate countries like Canada, Germany. Snow leopards are not found in Kerala forest, and tuna fish are rarely caught beyond tropical latitude in the ocean. That means all these, whatever I have just cited, mango tree or snow leopard or tuna fish, all these are in a position to survive at a particular temperature. So mango tree do not and cannot grow in Canada and Germany. Why? Why? Because they are not tropical countries. There you won't come across mango tree. You can't see leopards in the Kerala forest. It is the snow is not there in Kerala. Snow leopards are to be seen only at the mountains. And tuna fish, which are very much characteristic of the tropical region, they cannot be seen beyond this tropical region. This is what you have. The snow leopards. This is the tuna fish, which is mainly seen in the ocean of the tropical countries. We can readily appreciate the significance of temperature to living organisms when you realize that it affects the kinetics of enzyme. What do you mean by this? Temperature affects the kinetic of enzyme. And I'm sure you have experienced it. Can anyone tell me what is this? Kinetics of enzymes. Come on. You have already learned about the enzymes. Come on, quick. Anyone? Temperature affects the kinetics of enzyme. Someone of you have to try. Don't keep
Sir,
quiet.
is it action of enzyme?
100%. Is it Jyoti or Aisha?
Aisha.
Aisha. 100%. Good. It is functioning of the enzyme, action of the enzyme. Aisha,
Yes, sir.
Aisha, can you give any example how that the temperature affects the action of enzymes? Do you know any example?
No, sir.
Navya? Anyone? Let me give. If at all you are sick with a, come on, come on, come on. When you are sick and suffering from fever, running high fever, you don't feel the taste of the food whatever you eat. Am I right? Am I right? Even your favorite food, the food which you like very much, it appears bitter. For the reason the temperature as it is raised up, the enzymes that are present, they get heat denatured. Enzymes are proteins. Proteins get heat denatured. The moment you heat them, they get denatured. That is why you lose appetite. You don't like feeling anything, eating. Even if it all you feel eating, even if it all you force eating, you get a vomiting sensation. Aisha, clear? So, enzymes, these are temperature affects the kinetics of enzymes, and through it, the basal metabolism or basal metabolic rate. What do you mean by basal metabolic rate? BMR. BMR. Basal metabolic rate refers to the energy required during the time when your body is taking rest. Now, I have one question to you. When you require more energy, is it during your work time, day, or during night? When you require more energy, come on.
Day.
You all think that during daytime. But remember, more energy is required when your body is taking rest. You tell me, which function is not taking place when you are sleeping? Is it a digestive system taking rest? Respiratory system taking rest? Circulatory system is taking rest? Excretory system is taking rest? Nervous system is taking rest? Chemical coordination system is taking rest? Your locomotor organs are taking rest? None of them are taking rest. Therefore, you require more energy to the extent of 75% during your night time than your daytime. So, BMR, basal metabolic rate, is nothing but the energy requirement during the rest of the body, during the energy requirement when the body is taking rest. So, temperature affects the kinetic substance enzyme through it. Basal metabolism. Basal metabolism includes your all type of metabolic activity, and other physiological functions of the organism. A few organisms can tolerate and thrive in a wide range of temperature. And these animals, these organisms, which can tolerate and survive in a wide range of temperature, are always called eurythermal animals, or simply eurytherms. Eurythermal animals. That means even if the temperature ranges widely, say, you know, if at all, some amphibians, some reptiles are going to live in the deserts. In the deserts, you come across wide range of temperature, and in these, the amphibians, reptiles, they survive, even though they are poikilothermic animals, cold-blooded animals. But a vast majority of the organisms are restricted to a narrow range of temperature. Such organisms are called stenothermal animals. Stenothermal organisms. I want you to remember two terms, eurythermal and stenothermal. Which are these stenothermal animals? Stenothermal animals are the one which cannot tolerate wide variation in temperature. Slightly if the temperature varies, they are going to die. Most of the aquatic animals are stenothermal. I refer to poikilothermic animals. Now, let me just tell you one incident. I was at that time at a Sringeri. One fine day, what I did, I left Sringeri for Mangalore, got some fishes, aquarium fishes. At Mangaluru, there is a place called Mannagudde, and one of friend known to me, he was selling these aquarium fishes. This is long back, about 30 years. I got these fishes, beautiful aquarium fishes, big fishes. He gave me in a polythene bag, big polythene bag, which we have just covered, knotted, and lot of fishes in there, and then the upper part was with half or more than a half oxygen. It was a tide here. I brought it to Sringeri by noon, and I left this in an aquarium. I got it, and I left all these fishes in the aquarium. Went to principal's chamber to get him to show the beautiful fishes that I brought. When I came within 10 to 15 minutes after leaving these fishes there, when I came to the principal to show the fishes, you tell me what I might have showed the principal? I could show the principal only the dead bodies of the fishes. Just within 50 minutes, when I came there, immediately the fishes died. I found them dead. Worth nearly 1,000 rupees worth of fish at that time. All are just floating. Tell me why. Tell me why. How? How it might happen? Hello? Anyone? Another Tirtha students, Harshvardhan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Charan, Sarvottam,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Vishwas,
Yes, sir.
who else I left? Chinmay, who is there? Who I left? Hello? Vismita,
Yes, sir.
Nadira, Navya,
Yes, sir.
Blessy,
Yes, sir.
Kanisa,
Yes, sir.
Aisha, Kavita.
Yes, sir.
Is it Aisha or Kavita?
Kavita, sir.
Kavita. Kavita, you did not take the books from the office?
No, sir. I was absent, sir.
So please collect the books for the office. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, what might have happened here? Jyoti,
Yes, sir.
Namrata, what might have happened here? Rakesh, are you
Yes,
there,
sir.
Rakesh?
Yes, sir.
Prithviraj,
Yes, sir.
tell me what might have happened here. When I brought the fishes from Mangalore, the water which is contained in the polythene bag, it was adjusted to the Mangalore temperature. It was the fishes were with that temperature. When I brought it up to the gut section and when I left it in the water temperature of this polythene bag and the water temperature of this aquarium just differed by 1 degree centigrade. Only difference was 1 degree centigrade. This minutest difference of 1 degree centigrade resulted in the death of all these fishes. So these fishes are thermal. I hope you understood this point. Clear?
Yes, sir.
The levels of thermal tolerance of different species determine to a large extent their geographical distribution. More than tolerance is there for wide range of temperature. Now the question is that which of these always survive better, eurythermal or stenothermal? Which organisms have better rate of survival? Hello?
Eureka.
Why don't you answer that question the moment I tell? Is it that I have to wait for you to reply? Now let us look at water. Next to the temperature, water is the most important factor influencing the life of organism because in our cytoplasm, 90% is of water. In fact, life on Earth originated in water. You have already heard life originated in ocean and is unsustainable without water. Can you manage without water? No. We cannot live at all without the water. Its availability is so limited in the deserts that only special adaptations make it possible to live there. Desert animals, they have to make special adaptations to live there. The productivity and distribution of plants is also heavily dependent on water. Productivity by the plants dependent on water. Distribution of plants is also dependent on water. You might think that organisms living in ocean, lakes, and rivers, they don't have any water related problems. Is it? Is it that animals which live in ocean or lakes or rivers, absolutely they don't have any water related problems? No, they do have. What are these problems? The organisms which live here in different types of aquatic habitat, they do have their own problems. For aquatic organisms, the chemical composition and pH of water becomes very important. Chemical composition and pH of water becomes very important. Now what happens? The salt concentration, always salt concentration is referred as a salinity and it is measured as a salinity in parts per thousand, what we say PPT, parts per thousand. Now salt concentration is less than 5 ppt in inland waters. Inland waters refers to water that you come across in a river, lake, pond, etc. They are collectively called inland waters. Collectively called inland waters. So, salt concentration in inland waters is less than 5 ppt parts per thousand, and in the sea it is generally 30 to 35 ppt, or it may be greater than 100 in some of the hypersaline lagoon. Lagoons are the areas that you come across in the middle of the ocean. Atoll, it has at the central lagoon. So hypersaline lagoons. Some organisms are tolerant to a wide range of salinity. They are called euryhaline, and some of them are tolerant to the restricted or narrow range of salinity. It is called stenohaline. So just like eurythermal, we have euryhaline. Euryhaline is a term that is used with reference to salinity. Those animals which can tolerate a wide range of salinity, they are called euryhaline, which can tolerate only narrow range, they are called stenohaline. All these four terms, eurythermal, stenothermal, euryhaline, stenohaline, etc. are asked for the board exam. Many freshwater animals cannot live for long in seawater and vice versa because of the osmotic problems they would face. Because of the osmotic problems they would face. Many of the freshwater animals cannot live in seawater, or seawater animals cannot live in freshwater. Right? I would like to know from you, have you heard a fish called anguilla anguilla? Have you got a fish by name anguilla anguilla? Have you heard of this?
No, sir.
Anguilla anguilla is a fish which lives in anguilla anguilla. This fish, anguilla anguilla, this fish is commonly called eel. Eel. Okay? So, it is commonly called eel. Can you see this?
No.
Sir, the screen is
No?
not visible.
Okay, 1 minute. So I am not focused on my video so far. Hello?
No,
Are you
sir.
seeing this slide now?
No, sir.
Now are you seeing? 1 minute. Are you seeing now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are the yields. This looks like snakes, right? So you have different types of eel. You know, one of the thing what I wanted to tell you, anguilla, anguilla. This fish, anguilla, can you make out? Can you make out anguilla? Hello? Can you make out this? Are you seeing this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. This eel, it lives in generally European rivers, in the rivers of European continent. During autumn, the males and females, adult males and females, they come together, they make a pair, and they make it a point to go to their breeding place. Prior to reaching the breeding, they get into pairs and they go for what is called pre-wedding honeymoon. What is Navya? Navya, what is it? Pre-wedding honeymoon. Just like what is that? What you come across nowadays? Pre-wedding shot. Am I right? Am I right? No? So these fishes make it a point. They get together. They now make a point to travel from the European rivers, from the rivers of European continent. They get into, they themselves make a pass and they start their journey towards a place in the Atlantic Ocean which you might have heard about, Bermuda, near Bermuda Triangle. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
These fishes, they travel a distance of 4,000 kilometers, 4,000 kilometers to reach there. But prior to going there, whenever they make themselves a pair in the month of autumn, first thing they do is that they give up feeding. They don't feed at all. They just join in the pair and they start moving towards the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, to a place called Bermuda. What type of migration this is? Have you heard about this migration? Migration from river to sea. I hope you know. Have you heard about? There are two types of migration. Have you heard about? Have you heard about? Hello? There are two types of migration. migration from river to sea, and another migration is from sea to river. Have you heard about this? Right? This migration is from river to sea. The fishes grow, feed, and grow in the river and migrate to sea for breeding purpose. This type of migration from a river to sea is called catadromous migration. Catadromous migration. Migration from river to sea. They do show catadromous migration. Anyone knows opposite to this, another migration? Anyone? This is river to sea. I am telling you, there is another migration from sea to river. This is also for breeding purpose. Can anyone tell me what is that migration? Namrata? Namrata, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What is the migration?
I don't know, sir.
Anyone else?
Sir, is it anadromous
Who is this?
duty?
Jyoti.
So it's THI.
Huh? Jyoti. Star of the day. It is called anadromous. Anadromous migration. Anadromous migration. This catadromous migrations are shown by E. Anguilla. Anadromous migrations are shown by a fish called salmon fish, salmon salar. Salmon fish. Right? So you must remember river to sea migration is called catadromous, sea to river migration is called anadromous. You know, cyclostomes like petromyzon, cyclostomata, member cyclostomata, petromyzon shows anadromous migration. It shows anadromous migration. So now what I want, this yield after forming pair, it leaves its river, gets into the ocean, and in the Atlantic Ocean, it travels a kilo to the extent of 4,000 miles or kilometers. It travels. And in that particular place, when it goes there, that particular island area, near that island area, where the temperature is fairly good, light is moderate, the female releases the eggs, male releases the sperms. Fertilization takes place there. You may really wonder why that for this purpose they travel 4,000 miles. It is only in that particular area they get a suitable, convenient breeding ground. Remember? After this female releases its ova, what is called spawning in case of fishes, the release of the ova we call spawning, and the male releases the sperms called milting. Milting, after its spawning and milting gets over, poor guys, both male and female die. Both the male and female parents die. Very pathetic part. Very pathetic part. Now the question is that why they die? Come on, Jyoti,
Yes, sir.
why they die? Because
Not sure, sir.
Because just prior to breeding, they have given up feeding. They have given up feeding. They have stopped feeding. They were starving. And this starving couple have made it a point to make this honeymoon. What is that honeymoon? Pre-wedding honeymoon, I call. Because the release of the egg, the release of the sperm has to take place after so many days when they reach that particular breeding ground. After the breeding gets over, both of these are dying because they were starving. More than that, where were they? Earlier they were there in the fresh water. Where are they now? Now they have come to the sea water, salt water. Difference in osmotic balance. This created a fishes to die. Understood? Therefore, what I wanted to tell you, many freshwater animals cannot live for long in seawater and vice versa because of the osmotic problems they would face. Have you understood this point? Have you understood this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, light. Since plants produce food through photosynthesis, a process which is only possible when sunlight is available as a source of energy, we can quickly understand the importance of light for living organisms, particularly autotrophs. Autotrophs. Plants are all autotrophs. They trap the solar energy and prepare the food, not for themselves, not only for themselves. Even we are dependent on the plants for the food. You know, we are heterotrophs. Autotroph. Autotroph. Putting it in one word, one sentence, autotrophs. Who are the autotrophs? Autotrophs are self-nourished one. They are nourished by themselves. Self-nourished autotrophs. Heterotrophs, we are all heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are other nourished. We are nourished by others. Others nourished. Heterotrophs. Autotrophs, particular plants, they require light for photosynthesis. Many species of small plants, herbs and shrubs, growing in forests are adapted to photosynthesis optimally under very low light condition. If you go to very good forest, you know, in a very good forest, there will not be penetration of the light to the bottom. Can you tell me why? Why that the light won't penetrate to the bottom? You not see light in the bottom as such. You do come across very, very small herbs, small shrubs. And in fact, it will be very good carpet so that you can walk very easily in a very, very undisturbed good forest. You tell me why that in the forest the light won't penetrate down below? It is because of the canopy of a tree. Canopy is huge, it is having the branches and branches with all leaves around. It forms a sort of umbrella. This huge tree with umbrella like canopy, it will not leave much light to fall down. So many species of small plants like herbs and shrubs growing in forests are adapted to photosynthesis optimally under very low light condition because they are constantly overshadowed by tall canopied trees. Many plants are also dependent on sunlight to meet their photoperiodic requirement for flowering. You know, most of the plants require light for flowering. For many animals too, light is important in that they use the diurnal and seasonal variations in a light intensity and duration. There is a photo period as cues for timing their foraging, reproductive, and migratory activities. I would like to explain a little bit about this concept. For many animals too, light is important in that they use the diurnal and seasonal variation in light intensity and the duration of the light as cues for timing their foraging, reproductive, and migratory activities. Who will explain me this sentence? Come on. Who will explain this sentence to me? Sir, it is like this. This sentence is telling about like this. Come on. What you can make, what you could make out this. Want enables you to understand this. Animal. For many animals also, light is important. For what? Light, which brings about a diurnal and seasonal variation. What do you mean by diurnal variation? What do you mean by diurnal?
Daily changes. Day.
Daytime. And you know, temperature in the morning is different, during midday is different, during evening is different, during night is different. For many animals, too, light is important in that they use, which use, animals use the diurnal variation, and many of the animals come out only when the temperature condition is or when the light condition is favorable to them. Okay. The variation during daytime, you know what type of intensity of light will be there in the morning, in the midday, at evening time, at night time, and see the variation in the light intensity. If you go during daytime, during May month, how it will be scorching sunlight during midday, or if at all you go at the night and in the midday during winter, even the light is very much with high intensity. If the temperatures comes down, you may not feel that the light intensity that much because of the cold condition at that time. So diurnal and seasonal variation, light intensity and duration, that is how much light hours are available. It acts as a cue for timing their foraging. What do you mean by foraging? What do you mean by foraging? Hello? What is foraging? You have not heard this term so far?
Searching.
Pardon?
Searching.
What searching? Foraging is correct. Searching what? Mating partner? Aisha? Aisha? Searching for the friend? Aisha?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Searching for?
Searching for food.
Food. Can you tell me, what do you have any example? Which is searching for food due to the temperature? Yeah, I shall come to some other point. Have anyone of you seen a nest of bird?
Yes, sir.
Who is this?
Duty.
Duty. When you have seen? Where you have seen?
Sir, in my garden, my next door garden, like
When?
long back, sir. I don't remember.
No, I am not asking you the year. Can you make it out whether you have seen it in summer, winters? Then forget it. You have seen. Can anyone else come forward? Have you come across or do you come across bird nest? Have you come across bird nest at any time? You don't keep your eyes open and ears and move around. Always mobile and
Yes,
connect
sir.
with the pardon.
I have seen it in my home, sir.
When?
During the day.
Who is this?
Rafa.
Rafa. In which month? Approximately.
Approximately. It was there all year. Sir.
Oh!
Winter.
All year in your house?
No, sir, not all. Like during June, July.
Oh, I don't believe you. Next may be there. Have you seen that members inside?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
In the June, July?
Sir, I don't remember month, but I've seen it.
Who?
Duty.
Duty. Please remember, for all of your knowledge, nests, most of the birds build the nest during summer. It may start from March, April, May, or as Rafa said it may extend to June also. During summer, these birds, they build the nest. And they make it a point to build the nest only in summer. Do you know why? Most of the birds breed in summer. Why? Most of the birds breed in summer. Can anyone tell me quick? Why are boys here or no? Prithvi,
Yes, sir.
Rakesh,
Yes, sir.
Lohit,
Yes, sir.
Harshavardhan, Sarvottam,
Yes, sir.
Vishwas,
Yes,
Siddesh.
sir. Yes, sir.
So why don't you answer? So most of the birds breed in summer. You must know. Birds build nests in summer. And this nest building requires a lot of nesting material. They require nesting material. And they have to go in search of the nesting material. I am fortunate. When I was at Manipal, every year a bulbul couple used to come to my house at Manipal to build the nest. In one of the year, even I will show that later. In one of the year, a bird by name Sunbird also came. 2 years it has also built a nest inside my house. Bulbul used to build a nest outside in the garden. Sunbird used to build a nest inside. And remember, I have done little bit of work, and in this sunbird, I have beautiful photograph of how this sunbird used to come inside, feed the young one, go out after getting the young ones successfully, after successful breeding, leave my house and start enjoying wildlife. So I have studied a little bit. What I wanted to tell you with this study is that most of the birds build a nest during summer. And during the summer, since they wanted to go in search of the nesting material, they do want long day length hours. Long day. They want a long day, right? Hours. Can anyone tell me which is the longest day in a year? Longest day in a year.
June 21, sir.
June
21.
21. It is also
Yoga day.
International Yoga Day. Have I said my experience of June 21st? Did I say my experience of June 21st at London?
No, sir.
No. I was there in one of the year in 1995. In year 1995, on June 21st, I was at London. I knew that it's the longest day. I wanted to see how much long is that day. Waited up to 11 p.m. I could see these kids playing football in a football ground at 11 p.m. without a street light. Without a street light, the kids are playing. Maybe government wanted to show that it's the longest day. The street lights are switched off, or at certain places the lights are switched off. I could see the kids playing in the ground. I kept the alarm to see at what time it becomes bright. I woke up at 3 o'clock. By the time I woke up at 3 o'clock, I could see that there is already sunlight. It is a light. It is well lighted. Hardly 2 to 3 hours of night time you get there. That is the longest day. Is that we have a long day here in India? Do we have a long day in India? Rafa, do we have a long day in India?
No, sir.
Blessing? Rafa, no?
No.
Rafa? No? No?
No.
Rafa?
Yes,
Rafa?
sir.
Do you know that in the month of May, right at about 5:30, 5:45, it becomes bright?
Yes, sir.
At 5:30 itself, you feel that it is already lighted. Do you know that at about 7 o'clock itself, it will be still light? In the month of May and all?
Yes, sir.
In the winter, by 6 o'clock, C15, 6 o'clock it becomes dark, and morning 6 o'clock also it will be still dark. Is it not that you experience a little bit a long day and a short day even in India?
Yes, sir.
Not to the extent of London, not the longest day, but you could make out a long day with a short day. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Birds make use of this condition, therefore they build the nest during summer season. They have ample of light hours to go in search of the nesting material. After these young ones are laid, after the young ones are hatched from the egg, they have to feed them. They can go in search of the food material. That's what called foraging. Ample of light hours available. Therefore, most of the birds are influenced by light hours. Am I right? Am I right? Understood? Is it clear? So,
Yes, sir.
so light intensity, diurnal and seasonal variations in light intensity and duration of the photo period as cues for timing their foraging, reproductive, and migratory activities. Even birds migrate. You know, I'm going to tell you later. We have a bird called Siberian crane. Have you heard about that? Siberian crane. This Siberian crane, it used to come from Siberia. You know, Siberia is in the North Pole. From Siberia, birds used to come. They are also coming now to India just to avoid very harsh winter there and to enjoy the winter here in India, this side. So, even the light plays an important role in the migratory activities also of the animals. I hope you understand this. Foraging, reproductive, migratory activities, they are all influenced by the diurnal and season variation in the light. Right? The availability of light on land is closely linked with that of temperature. Always light and temperature are interlinked since the sun is the source of both. But deep, more than 500 meters, in the ocean, the environment is perpetually dark. That's beyond 500 meters of depth. The sea is called a dark sea. Beyond 500 meters of depth, the environment is perpetually dark, and its inhabitants are not aware of the existence of the sun at all. The spectral current of solar radiation is also important for life. The UV component of the spectrum is harmful to many organisms, while not all the color component of the visible spectrum are available for marine plants living at a different depth of the ocean. Living. Now let us come to soil. Any doubt so far? Come on, do you have any doubt so far? Yes?
No, sir.
Aisha, Blessy, Kanisa, Charan, Jyoti, Fatima, Siddesh, Harshvardhan, Janani, Jayasri, Kavi, Lohit, Vishwas, Namrata, Navya, Prithvi, Rakesh, Sarvottam, Savitri, Tanasri, Vismita. Anyone has any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Ecology is boring.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Navya?
Yes, sir.
Is it boring?
A little, sir.
Little. Little. Huh? Coming to the soil. The nature and properties of soil in different places vary. I hope you may be knowing that. Siddesh, you may be knowing that. Pratiraj, whatever type of soil you come across in the North Karnataka, you just look at the soil of your Belgaum, Dharwad, come this side, come to Davangere, Shimoga, come to down South Kannada, come this side to Mandya. Is it that the soil in all these places are different? Same? Pratiraj?
Different, sir.
Different. The nature and the properties of soil in different places vary. It is dependent on the climate, weathering process. There is a soil formation process, whether the soil is transported or sedimentary, and how soil development occurs. Based on all this, you do have different types of soils in different parts of the world. Various characteristics of soil, such as the soil composition, grain size, there is the soil grain size, aggregation, determine the percolation and water holding capacity of the soil. If at all you go to South Canada and see that it is raining heavily 1 hour, it rained 1 hour very heavily. After 1 hour you just move, you will not come, you will not see that there will not be sometimes a trace that it has rained. All that much of quickly, all water gets drained out because there is no percolation of water down below. It just gets washed away and joins the sea there. Even all it rains 1 hour thoroughly in Davangere, Haryana like that, you see that the soil becomes very much wet, and you will see that soil particles all getting attached together just like this clay. What do you see? So in this way, the percolation of the water in the soil depends upon what type of soil it is and the water holding capacity of the soil. These characteristics along with the parameters such as pH, mineral composition, and topography determine to a large extent vegetation in any area. You have such a forest vegetation in the Chikmagalur, Koppa, Sringeri, Yanapur, etc., or Markera, because of the rainfall, because of the environment condition, because of the pH, mineral composition, etc., and these always support a particular type of vegetation in a particular area. This in turn dictates the type of animals that can be supported. Always you must know what type of animals are present. It depends upon what type of plants are present. Therefore, you have different types of animals in the forest, different types of animals in the grassland, different types of animals in the desert. Similarly, in the aquatic environment, the sediment characteristics often determine the type of benthic animals. You must know that benthic animals means animals which live in the bottom. Bottom living animals are always called benthic animals that can thrive there. So always, even the sediments which just get settled at the bottom, that determines the animals what should be present there. Now let us look at the responses to abiotic factors. Having realized that the abiotic conditions of many habitats may vary drastically in time, abiotic conditions always vary conditions of many habitats vary drastically in time. A condition. You know this light, temperature, etc. will not remain uniform throughout the year in any place. It varies. And it also varies with the habitat. We now ask how do organisms living in such habitats cope or manage with the stressful condition. Depending on temperature results of what they do, how they manage. But before attempting to answer this question, we should perhaps ask first why a highly variable external environment should bother organisms after all. Why that we should bother about the variable external environment, highly variable external environment? In what way this highly variable external environment affects the life of the organism? One would expect that during the course of millions of years of evolution, many species would have evolved a relatively constant internal condition within the body, constant internal environment that permits all biochemical reactions and physiological functions to proceed with the maximal efficiency and thus enhance the overall fitness of the species. What do you mean by the sentence? You know, whenever an organism is living through several millions of years of history, throughout its millions of years of evolution, the organism starts getting adjusted to the different conditions at the different ages, at the different times. So, in general, every organism gets or comes to a condition, it makes it a point to live with somewhat stabilized condition which permits all biochemical reactions and physical functions to proceed with maximum efficiency. Now we are living, we are, and birds are different types of animals. What we call them? What we call them? Birds and mammals together. What we call birds and mammals together? Lohit. Lohit.
Yes, sir.
What we call birds and mammals together? We have a condition where the physiological activity takes place with maximal efficiency. Why? Why it takes place with maximum efficiency? What is the special condition of birds and mammals? Anyone? Again, Aisha, Rafa.
Yes, sir.
What is that condition? What makes us to show maximal efficiency of functioning of the body? Anyone? Prithvi? Namrata? In what way birds and mammals are different from other animals, other vertebrates?
Chordata.
Pardon? Right? Duty? Kavita? Jayasri? Savitri? Tanusri? Janani? Because we have constant internal condition. What do you call that? Birds and mammals are homeothermic animals. Homeotherms. Warm-blooded animals. Warm-blooded animals or homeotherms are animals where the body internal condition is maintained constant irrespective of the changes in external environment condition. So that is what overall fitness of the species. This constancy, for example, could be in terms of optimal temperature and osmotic concentration of the body fluid. Your body temperature, what is the body temperature of yours? Namrata? What is your body temperature?
98.6.
98.6.
98.6.
98.6. 98 point. What is your body temperature?
7.
Pardon? 7. You find out and tell me in my next class. So, you just see your thermometer and see that there is one red line. Ideally, the organism should try to maintain the constants of its environment, a process called homeostasis, despite varying external environment conditions that tend to upset our homeostasis. So, our body, even though the external temperature varies, I hope nowadays there is a little bit cold in the morning, or even sometimes the temperature of Bangalore may come down to very rarely to 22, 20, and 24, 25, 27 is very common. So even though the external environmental temperature changes, our body, inside the body temperature won't change. That's what we say homeostasis. Let us take an analogy to clarify this important concept. Suppose a person is able to perform his or her best when the temperature is 25 degrees centigrade and wishes to maintain it so, even when it is scorchingly hot or freezingly cold outside. How you say? My question to you, Navya. Navya,
Yes, sir.
nowadays why you are keeping quiet? Now, you are working best at 25 degrees centigrade. Let us see that Navya works the best at 25 degrees centigrade. Now, if they turn the temperature goes very high, what do you do? What do you do? If the external temperature goes high and you can work only at 25 degrees centigrade, what are you going to do? Navya is going to sit quiet without talking, just like what she is doing now.
Oh, sir.
Then what? What do you may do?
Won't work as efficiently as I was working at 25 degrees.
What are you going? Is it that you are going to the place where temperature is 25 degrees centigrade?
No.
Then you are getting into an AC room, am I right? And where you set the temperature to 25 degrees centigrade and work. If the temperature comes down, what you do? If the temperature comes down, what you do? You may just go for room heater.
Heater.
It could be achieved at home, in the car, while traveling, at your workplace by using an air conditioner in summer and heater in winter. Then his or her performance will be always maximal regardless of regardless of the weather around him or her. So you don't bother. Even if the temperature goes up during summer season, temperature comes down during winter season, you will be comfortable in the AC room or in room with heater. That is what your body does. Being the warm blood animals, in our body, we have what is known as homeostasis condition. Here, the person's homeostasis is accomplished not through physiological but artificial means here. Whenever you use a refrigerator or whenever you use an air conditioner or whenever you use a heater, we are not going for that. It is all artificial one. Our body controls on its own. How do other? That's why we are homeothermic animals. In homeothermic animals, the internal body condition is maintained constant, irrespective of the changes in external condition. How do other living organisms cope with this situation? Let us study this in the next class. Understood? Clear?